Hi, hello everybody, welcome. We just had a little technical glitch here, so we are a little late, but here we are. And yeah, I just want to welcome everybody first. So nice to have you here. And Amy, do you want to say some things in the beginning? Do you need to say anything, or how are we going to do that?
Sure. Welcome to this video Satsang. We're doing this for the first time. And we will open it up and invite you to join in if you have questions when Neelam's ready. And if you can just, at that time, I'll remind you then also, but if you could just come in and when you notice 4 or 5 people are in, wait until someone drops off and then come in. I'll be watching over the comment thread also. So now we can just listen to Neelam.
Yeah, thank you for that. And also, if you have questions and you can't show up in the Hangout, right? They text or email or post them somewhere, questions. So we'll just try to, this is our first time. We are just getting warmed up here. So we'll try to figure out how it all works. And I'm just going to start with a little introduction here. I know that most of you know me already. Many of you do. Some of you don't. And so, or don't know of me or about me that much. So I'm just going to share a little brief introduction of myself here. My name is Neelam, and I have been sitting in Satsang with students since 1995, I think, 95, a long time ago. And I met my teacher, HWL Punja, in Lucknow in 1994. And in his presence and through his grace has awakened to the truth of who we really are. And since that time, the recognition of presence has always been available here. However, over the many years of sitting with what arises here, sitting with what arises here, what arises there, what arises anywhere, also sitting with students, that there has been an ever-present embodiment or deepening process where the recognition of truth really informs all the layers of the past. And we often, when we come in touch with satsang or presence or our true nature, many of us at some point feel moved towards service, and that was also my experience. And sometimes, we think, well, what is service, right? How do we do that? What's the best way? How do I show up? And I have to say, naturally, we show up naturally. Naturally it shows up. Service, right? If that's what's supposed to be happening. However, what we don't always realize is that just the greatest service is to be here with what is. That the greatest service is to meet what arises, to really in the moment be available for what is arising, what is happening here. And that, of course, we sometimes think this is such a, unglamorous kind of work, and we sit and just be present with what is. And it's so much easier to notice, when we have these beautiful expanded states or experiences, which of course are part of, our search for freedom. And of course that naturally happens too. There's nothing we can we can do for it or about it. However, we don't always notice these more subtle, ways in which when we sit with what is, that maybe it's not so glamorous in the moment, but it results in this deeper level of peace. It results in our ability to be more present when we are in activity. It results in our ability to recognize past more when it arises here. So then, of course, all of that experience is present when we sit together, anytime we sit together right now or at any other time. That's part of the work that happens here when we sit together. And also, just a very brief introduction. You already have seen and heard from Amy. Amy is a student who is supporting the Satsang today and the technical side of it, which is wonderful. Amy, if you want to just say a sentence or two about yourself.
Hello, everybody. I was unmuting there. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy that I found Neelam at a very integral point in my life where I had experienced some spiritual realizations that I really wanted to embody and be able to live more practically in my life. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for being here. So let's just sit quietly for a moment. A little silence. I'm still adjusting here the seating. A little silence, a little guided meditation together. So really noticing presence as you are sitting here, really taking a moment to notice, to come to rest. It's always wonderful, just the silence or stillness. After all, that's why we are sitting here. And also taking a moment to notice the sensations that are present in your body, whatever they may be right now in this moment. And just notice that this is a little different than only paying attention to stillness. So beautiful, just coming more into noticing what is this, sense of the body here, and how do you experience it in a moment? What is it like? What kind of sensations are present? And sometimes if you have, if there's any challenge in noticing sensations, you might want to move certain parts of your body just a little bit, you know, your legs, your feet, your back, or your hands, just to have a little bit more awareness or attention. You know, if you see your mind coming in and out of being able to rest, you know, in the noticing of the sensation, you can do that. But also notice the spaciousness that is here as well, that spaciousness from which sensation or experience in general arises. And if you are sitting with your eyes closed, then maybe opening your eyes a little bit, and as you do, sometimes in that transition you want to take a moment to really notice presence, because the information, you know, when it comes in through the eyes, it may take your attention away again. So just take a moment, you know, presence is here, it's the substratum of all experience. So it doesn't matter your eyes closed or open. Beautiful. And also, you know, just for a moment, notice where you are in your environment. What are the objects that are around? And our little brain and nervous system needs this, you know, present time information. So that's information we can't think, you know, it has to come from the environment. So just take a moment, look around a little bit, see where you are, see where you're sitting, you know, that's gives that simple reassurance to the nervous system and to the brain. You know, we can do that. You can do that when you're sitting. You can do that when past is present and your attention gets, you know, moves away from here. So just notice, what is it like right now after just looking around for a little bit. Just take a moment for that. And again, just a moment of presence, however you want to sit, your eyes closed or open. It's so important, the sitting, you know, because that's how you know, become more and more familiar, right, with silence, and also our nervous system and the brain, you know, gets used to being here. So important that we actually spend time sitting together. So, or sitting, being here, whatever circumstance, right? Doesn't matter if here or there. So we have a few people that are new to me today here in Satsang. Welcome. I'm not sure if you're new to Satsang, but new to me. So I want to speak a little bit about, you know, just very briefly, the core principles of the teaching. And it's good for all of us to really remember why we are here, what this whole thing is about. But especially for people that are new or newer, that, it's a different vocabulary, and sometimes I say things I want you to understand. I want you to know what I mean when I say that. So of course we always begin with presence, and presence, our true nature. I used to use a lot of different words to describe that. The last few years I say presence, and so it doesn't really matter, it doesn't matter if you call it consciousness, or you call it truth, or you call it space, or our natural state. The words only point towards the experience. So when I say presence, what I'm interested in is that the most important thing about it is that presence is already here. That it's not something we get, it's not something that we become, it's not something that happens in the future. That in this moment when you are sitting here, you can actually take a moment and notice. Beautiful, beautiful. And so, so it's already here, and it's already available. And the only reason why we don't, always know that, because that's the challenge. The challenge is not presence, right? The challenge is not our true nature. The challenge is our attention is not at rest. Right? The challenge is we don't always know that it's actually here. And the reason we don't is because our attention moves with what arises. Our attention moves with what arises. So when that happens, whenever that happens, right, we lose the sight of our true nature, and then we say, oh, it's not here, it disappeared. And that's the misunderstanding. When we sit together, we are not really working on presence, right, or becoming anything. We are just, clarifying that misunderstanding. We are just developing a new habit. Instead of moving with what arises, let's bring the attention here. Beautiful, just in this moment, right? Instead of listening to the mind's story, oh, it's here, it's not here, it's this or that, let's just check, let's just take a moment. So when we are at rest like that, like when we are sitting here at rest, then we also recognize in this moment that everything is okay just the way it is. That in this moment, when we are here, here, there, with everything that is going on, nothing has to be different. That, everything is just the way it is, and that it's absolutely okay. And that okayness is a symptom of our natural state. Whenever we have the sense of that okayness, we know here we are, that's presence, right? That's here, that's now, right? Everything is fine. It doesn't have to be any different. When you listen to the mind story, the story is, it's okay, it's not okay, it's going to get better, it's going to get worse, we don't know what's going to happen. So that's the story, right? That's the description that happens on the top. But in reality, in the moment, check again, right? So if we were to take this, statement, everything is okay just the way it is. And when I speak about it, the questions are, what about change? Is change part of it? And I say, of course, change is natural. It naturally arises here, right? It's a natural movement. It's very different from the mind's movement. Oh, this is not okay. Let's get away from this, right? Or this is not okay. We have to do something about it, right? That's very different. That's the mind's movement or story. Right? So if we were to take this, sense of okayness, really the truth of that statement, and translate it into our experience, it would mean that you are okay just the way you are. That your experience is okay just the way it is happening, just the way it's arising. It would mean that everybody's experience, this is sometimes the hard part, everybody's experience is just okay the way it happens. Then it would also mean the world, the way it arises, which we sometimes have our opinions, about this or that, how it should be, that's okay also, just because it happens, just because it's here. And of course, I'm not going to speak more today about it, but we don't want okayness to become just another thought in your mind. It's not about another thought, it's about actual knowing of that in your own experience. And because it's not a concept, we don't want to use it to justify things, We can't do this kind of spiritual thing of, oh, it's all okay, it's no problem. Go by your very own experience in the moment, the truth of what is here. Am I at rest in the moment, or am I suffering? Am I really in truth knowing that in this moment everything is okay the way it is? Because if I'm not, then what's needed is inquiry. So when we move away from suffering and from okayness and presence, then what we experience is what I call suffering. And when I say suffering, I just want to clarify these words. Suffering, I don't necessarily mean pain. I don't necessarily mean challenging, difficult experiences in your life. I don't necessarily mean circumstances that are challenging, that arise in your life or anybody else's life. So when I say suffering, I mean an inability to be here in the moment, an inability to experience the truth of who we are in the midst of whatever arises in the moment. Movement away from our true nature. So it's important that we understand what suffering is when I say that, because once we understand, then there's also something we can do about it, right? There's often so much misunderstanding about what suffering is, and so suffering, movement away from our true nature, when we can understand that's what it is, there's something we can do about this, right? And that doing of something is what I call inquiry. And so when we say to inquire, when I say we can inquire, there's this very powerful, skillful means of inquiry. I mean to change the direction of our looking. I mean, instead of just following what arises, right? The past arises, it takes our attention, we move with that, then the story goes, and so on and on and on. Instead of doing that, we can change the direction of our looking. We can actually look within, right? We can look towards where the movement away from our true nature is. We can look towards that. And when we look towards that, we can actually meet that arising past. And when we meet it in a moment, then we experience the end of suffering. The end of suffering at this time. So, how is that going so far? I'm going to speak some more, but I just want to check in for a moment. And I don't know how much we can actually see if anybody has any questions so far. How is that going for everybody?
Neelam,
Yes.
what I can do now is share the link for people to join when they're ready.
Okay.
And just want to let you know that when you come in, you will be muted, and just unmute yourself and let us know that you have a question. And if you have a lot of background noise, I may need to mute you if you don't mute yourself. So I'll share the link now.
Yeah, and just see if so far, you know, because that's maybe all information that you already know, maybe information that is new, if you want to ask anything about it.
There's a slight delay, Neelam, so.
Yeah, we can take a little time.
Okay.
Checking. How is it going so far? Did anybody want to speak or ask anything about so far? Hello there, I see somebody in the
Hi.
window. Jonathan, hi, how is it going?
Hi, this is Rachel.
Hi.
Can't see her so well, but yes, I hear her. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi. Something just kind of popped up for me that I thought I might mention.
okay. How is it going so far? Did anybody want to speak or ask anything about something just replaying? You know, I don't know, so far. Hello there, I see somebody in the
Hi.
window. Jonathan, hi, how is it going?
Good. Hi, this is Rachel.
Hi.
Can't see her so well, but yes, I hear her. There is a loop going, feedback going. Amy, are you getting that? Hey.
Hi. Something just kind of popped up for me that I thought I might mention.
Okay. How is it going so far? We'll get there. It's all an experiment. We are all learning.
And now I'm muting. Okay, Steve probably figured it out. Just here's a quick note to everybody. When you join the Hangout, mute the YouTube video or close that window. It's up to you.
Oh, you have to, on your part, you have to mute or close, because otherwise we kind of get this loop.
Right, or mute when you're not talking. But yeah, if they have the YouTube that they were watching going on, if that volume is still on, we'll hear it at the same time. So just mute there.
Are you getting that, Jonathan? You have to mute there.
Yeah, okay. So are we still getting an echo?
I'm hearing you now. And did you have a question, Rachel, then?
I did, and it has something to do with, like, you know, something just occurred to me about not wanting to be present, almost as a, you know, a rebellion, and how sad that is, because life has been challenging or hard, or we don't like it. Something has come up, and we just say, no, I don't want to be here for this, whatever this experience.
Right. And yeah. So that I don't want to be here, you know, I would say that first there has to be a movement somewhere within, and maybe a movement in your nervous system as a response to what is happening. Mm-hmm. And that kind of thinking happens later, you know. I don't want to be here, right? And I want to say that for whatever reason in the past, Rachel, this life past or some other time past, you know, it was, there was a reason why. There was a reason why it was not safe or not okay to be here, right?
Mm.
And so we can't just like totally dismiss it like, oh wow, you know, whatever, right? We have to see it for, that was a good self-protection mechanism, right? Back then, whenever that was happening, right?
Mm.
And it's not just, you know, your thinking, but it's really your physiology also. Your physiology responds in a certain way, right? There's a sense of, you know, that's not okay, right? And so, you know, does that make sense, Rachel? Yeah. So you know, so that kind of response is natural, right? It's natural at this moment. It's natural, right? At this moment.
Mm.
So rather than, you know, struggling with it, we first of all, it's good to understand it, right? To realize that's like part of like a certain kind of self-protection, and that was right at that time. It's just that right now it doesn't serve you anymore. You see? At this moment, it's not really serving you, right? It's kind of useless. Right? So yeah, does that make sense a little bit? It's just really, you know, I mean, and at the same time, we can say, you know, it's doing a good job. It's trying to protect you, right? So rather than just dismissing it, you know, we can say, can I be present to that? Can I first of all notice that resistance, right? Rather than wanting to be, you know, somewhere else, right? Or rather than just like, I need to be present, you know, you just notice that resistance, right? And if you can notice, and if you can come a little bit into the felt sense of that in your body, but with your eyes open, Rachel, with your eyes open to your heart, because the brain, the little brain, just gets looped into the past if we don't keep our you know, eyes open a little bit. So if you can come into a felt sense of it in the moment right now, and just sense it, you know. So what happens then, Rachel? What happens with, you know, beautiful, beautiful, just lovely, just a moment of stillness with it, right? Just a moment of presence. Just, you know, that's what we always want. That's what all the tendencies want. Just presence. Just a moment of attention. Just, can we have that moment of attention? Right? So what happens, sweetheart? Just tell me how it is, you know, your experience, the way it happens. What is it like when you do that?
Mm. Well, it feels a little bit empowering, but also a little bit there's a lot of energy moving in the body, and it can be a little woozy,
Yes.
but not too bad. And it sort of feels like um, that whatever that is grateful to be seen.
Right, right, beautiful, beautiful. And the energy is going to be here because, you know, we haven't been paying attention before. So there is a lot of energy in that holding, in that pattern, right? And the nervous system, you know, the brain needs to move, right? So that's why I say eyes open, you know, if it's not too much in the moment, then just, yeah, beautiful. Just realize, yep, there's going to be energy in the body, because that's part of not going there. It's like, whoa, it's going to be too much, you see. I can't really be here. Right? So yeah, there's going to be energy in the body. Lovely, lovely. And just to notice that a little bit, energy in the body. Beautiful. Good, good, sweetheart. So right now in this moment, sitting here for this moment, is Rachel, is that okay to just notice it like that and allow the energy in the body? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So notice that. Beautiful. So like that, Rachel, that's the first little step into can I be here? Right? Rather than just there's resistance and then it should be different. To say there's resistance. Okay, can I notice that? Can I be present to that?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens, Rachel, as you sit here a little bit more, and you just sit with it, with the energy and everything, what is it like? Just what is it like? There's I'm not looking for anything. I'm just curious.
Well, it's a little bit, the energy, it's a little bit challenging, and it might, that I feel just a touch woozy. but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, woozy, then maybe move your body a little bit, move your arms and your hands and your legs a little bit. Especially your legs and your hands. Moving, yeah, little movement. Yeah. You can stretch your arms a little bit. Yeah, maybe look around a little bit again, like maybe getting, yeah. Just look around. Good. And what happens to that energy when you do that, Rachel?
I think it starts to settle a little bit.
So you notice that. Just notice it settles a little. Yeah, just notice the settling. That's important, right? It's kind of learning in the nervous system. Good. And it's going to go up and down, up energy and then settle and up and settle, But it's just your nervous system has to learn how to be with it, because in the past it couldn't, right? It just couldn't do that, so it went into this, can't be here, right? So slowly, it will learn to just be here like that. So what is that like right now, Rachel? What is it like?
Better. I feel better.
Good. And smiling too. That's a good thing. I like that. So notice that better. Just notice it. Just like a felt sense again. Better. Felt sense. Yeah. Yes. Yes, because we just need to remember it like that, right? I mean, visceral memory, not thinking. Good. Beautiful, sweetheart. So what do you say? Would you be willing to do it like that, Rachel? Just like that?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes? It's slowly. It's a learning, resistance rather than struggle with it. Can I notice it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just notice how you are right now, because there's so much innocence showing up in your face and in your eyes. Good. So what do you say, sweetheart? Is that good for now? Yes. Peaceful, beautiful, yes. Lovely. Yes. Peaceful, right? Yes. Notice that? Good. Peaceful is good, isn't it? Right. Very good. Lovely. Good to see you. That was it? Yeah? Yes? Shall we go to somebody else for a moment? Amy was who was next? Do you have is this kind of like next or not next, or how does how does it work?
Sure. Rafi was on,
Okay.
if he's ready.
I'm not seeing him, but hello.
I don't see him, but maybe
Maybe he left.
maybe he's coming. It looks like he might be working on it there.
You think he's there? I don't see him.
We can't hear you. I'll unmute him and see if maybe. Yeah, we're not hearing or seeing you.
So
Rafi.
we'll move over to Chulani, okay?
Yes.
And then we'll come back. Hi,
Okay.
how are you? Chulani.
But
Hi.
maybe he's coming. It looks like he might be working on it there.
Hello.
Hi, Steve. I'm just going to mute you for now. Can't hear you.
Chulani, we can't hear you yet. Are you speaking? No, you unmute yourself.
There, you're unmuted now.
Hi.
Hello, Neelam.
Hello, we can't hear you that well yet. Hi.
Yes, my mic is not so good.
It's quiet.
It's very quiet. Do you have more volume, Chulani? More volume on your computer?
Yes, the mic is not well.
What is it? What is not well?
The mic.
The microphone is not well. Yeah.
Yes. Can I try the volume and come back again then?
Yes, yes. Come back again. That sounds good. That sounds good, Chulani. Shall we get Steve then? He's sitting right here.
Mhm.
Okay. Hi, Steve. How are you? Are you on?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can. What is it? What is not well?
Oh, hi. So the other woman,
The microphone is not well.
I see.
We have that feedback again. What needs to happen, Amy? Just tell us.
Steve, do you have the other YouTube window open?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Mute it.
The other,
we get Steve
I see Neelam.
right here.
Okay, if you're on YouTube, if you could mute that video.
Are you on?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Mute.
I'm on Google. Well, oh, hi. So the other woman,
The microphone.
Steve, there's another window open,
What needs to happen, Amy? Just tell us.
and it's the YouTube window.
Mhm.
Do you have the, if you go down to the lower left corner of that video playing and click
That sounds good.
the volume button, it will mute.
I see Neelam.
Okay, if you're on YouTube, if you could mute that video.
Are you on?
You're not sure what to do.
Maybe I should get off. I don't know.
Mute.
I'm on Google. Well, oh, hi. So
Yeah, in this window, this is Google. Steve, there's another window. I think you have another window open though.
okay, maybe. Oh, does that work?
Yes.
Yes.
Now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, hi.
Oh, me?
Yeah, Steve, you're on.
Oh, thank you, Neelam. The question I have is, what is your view on pharmaceuticals? Because 23 years ago, when I started my spiritual exploration, I went to a 10-day silent Buddhist retreat. And at the end of it, the woman, the facilitator, said, medication may be my dharma. And she said it because even though I attended to presence for the 10 days, the heaviness didn't shift. And since then, I've been immersed in retreats with awakened beings and different therapies,
Okay.
and the heaviness has remained.
Okay. So let's just start with where you are, right? Because that's all we can really address, first, right? So you said, so before that retreat, you didn't have that heaviness. You didn't notice that before that.
Oh no, I was very aware. That's why I went to the retreat. Yes.
So that heaviness, Steve, how do you experience it? Tell me a little bit about it. In terms of sensation.
It's fear, dread. Like it's too much.
Okay. Keep
sad, depressing.
Keep your eyes a little bit open when you speak about it, but I want you to sense it a little bit in the body. You say
it goes around here a lot. There's like a numbing.
Okay, and fear and dread and
yes.
And what about head? You said something in the head also.
It feels mostly around here.
Right.
Especially here, and then for a while I was clenching, sometimes hours a day, and then I was able to disengage from that. Mm-hmm. But there's like a numbing.
I understand. So the question I have for you, Steve, is that okay?
No, and that's my struggle. I know.
Exactly. And I appreciate that honesty, right? Because the honesty has to be here right from the beginning. We have to have an honesty about where are we at with what is present, right? Because otherwise we can do a lot of things. We can attempt to do a lot of things, a lot of processes, a lot of feeling things, a lot of this, a lot of that. But as long as we don't clarify that basic relationship that we have with what is, because it's the way I see suffering. Suffering is not that this experience is present in your life, you see. Suffering is the not okayness with it being here.
Yeah, I would love to be okay with it. I've prayed. There's this yearning.
I hear you, but what you would really want, the truth is of what we really want is we want to be here, you see. It doesn't really even matter if you ever will be okay with it or not, you see. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you are able to be here, even just for a moment, right? Even if this was to be not okay to the rest of your life, which I don't wish or desire for you, of course, but even if that was, if anything, for anybody was not okay forever, it doesn't matter, you see. Because what matters is that we can come and be present to it for a moment. Right? So when you say it's not okay, Steve, where do you sense that not okayness in your body? Where is that? How do you notice that it's not okay? What is that sense in your body?
Well, I notice it goes up. I mean, the not okay arises from up here. Right.
But still, I want you to track it as a sensation because we need to rely on sensation, the nervous system, the brain. That's where we need to get down to. Otherwise, if we just go by thoughts, we're going to get lost very quickly. Right?
Well, the sense here is frightening because there's so much.
But the not okayness, you were so clear when you said to me, that's not okay. Where is that? How do you notice it in your body? It's not okay. Take a moment, Steve.
Right, it feels like right here. It feels. Beautiful. Oh, what happened? Oh, it feels like right here, like disgust.
Right. So can we just notice that for a moment? Can we just, you and I, for a moment, and your eyes, if you can, keep them a little open, if you can. Can we just sit for a moment and just notice that not okayness, that sensation of that? Can we just do it? No, but pay attention to your experience. What happens, Steve, when you do that? What happens?
What happens is there's a softening, there's like a relaxing, but there's always this.
Hold on, not so fast. So there's a softening and relaxing. Beautiful. Let's just notice that first. Let's go really slow. You know, that little nervous system and brain, very, very, very delicate, very slow. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So there is a little bit softening and relaxing. And then what happens next? What is the thing that happens? You're just starting to.
There's a smaller current of fear or.
Beautiful, beautiful. And let's just stay here for a moment. Let's just stay here. So there's a little bit of relaxing, and then there's a current of fear, right? A smaller current of fear. And now we just want to stay right on the edge of it, Steve. We don't want to go into it. We don't want to figure it out. We don't want to do anything. Good. Beautiful, beautiful. Did you notice a breath happening right now in your body, or what's happening?
Breath, yeah, I'm.
Yes. Breath and yes. A little breath. Let's just sit here for a moment, because it's not about what is present, but it's about the capacity of your nervous system to hold that. If it doesn't have the capacity, for whatever reasons, we all have our reasons, you know what I mean, it doesn't matter. Then if you go too fast, if you push it too hard, it's just going to backfire. Right? So beautiful, beautiful. So we just stay right here on this edge, you know, a little bit of rest and a little bit of fear, right? Just staying here for a minute. Good. So what happens when you do that? What happens right now? What just happened?
What comes to me is I don't want to stay like this in this between state.
And that's a story.
Yes.
That's a story, and that's your mind is trying to take your attention away. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is, as present, as consciousness, all you want is to be here. So the story is, I don't want to stay like this. Well, who cares? Truthfully, honestly, you know, who cares about anything? You know what I mean? And I mean it lightly, like, well, this is what's here. You know, that's what we have. We don't have anything else. We don't have anything else in this moment. Right? We might have a lot of other things at other moments. Good, beautiful. So just what happens? Just tell me how it is right now. What's going on right now?
Well, there's just the sensation around the mouth.
And how are you with that? How are you sitting here? What is your sitting here like right now? You notice, Steve, that there's a little bit more rest here, that maybe even though the sensations are still here, and the currents of fear or whatever, however you experience are still here, but that there is a little bit more resting here when you are sitting. Do you notice that? See?
I do feel more rest, yes.
Beautiful. So just notice that. Just take a moment. Just take a moment. And what that rest means is that your nervous system, rather than just freaking out in the presence of this, it's able to contain it a little bit more. It's a little bit more of a container, like, okay, and container means I can be here. Container means I know it's not fun, it's not pleasant, I know it's challenging, I know it's difficult, but that's not the question, you see. The question is, can I be here? And if that sense of rest means that your nervous system came to a place of being able to be here a little more, just a little bit. It's not so totally freaked out by it. Do you notice that as a sensory experience, Steve? Do you notice that? That it's a little bit more present, a little bit more ease, yeah?
Yes.
Let's just sit like this for a moment then. We get some background noises, not from you, somewhere else. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, because you could get used to that, you see. And your nervous system can get used to that, of course. So beautiful, beautiful. And I see this little breath arising that is more at ease. You know what I mean? That's the sign that there's just a little bit more ease. Right? Beautiful, beautiful. So what do you say, Steve? Would you be willing to do it like that? Would you be willing to do it like this? You see?
The answer is sometimes. Sometimes I will be.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's so important is that it's not, you know, because there is not just the experience that is present for you, but there is by now also a lot of resistance to it, understandably so. Understandably so. You have been going through it for so long that there's a lot of secondary, you know, movement, you know, with it, right? It's understandable, right? So because of that, it's challenging, you see, at first. It's challenging to come and just be with it like we were right now. Right? Because that moment of sitting here, that's what changes it, right? Nothing else can do it like that, you see. There's nothing else that can do it, you see. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand?
I do, yes. Thank you.
Because it's that what arises, what it wants is to be met, you see. That's all it wants. And if we can, just for a moment, turn around and say, okay, let me just be here for a moment, then it settles, you see. Right? It settles, you know, it doesn't always settle all at once, everything, because it's not possible. That's not how the brain and the nervous system works, right? It will be just too much for it, you know. But it settles. Right? Beautiful. Yes. So like that, do you understand? But do you understand, you know, because one question is, are you willing to do it like this? But the other question is, do you really understand the difference between what you were doing before and what we have done right now? Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a sense of that in yourself, Steve, that difference?
Yeah, it feels different.
Yes. And it's not, I'm not okay with it, I want to be okay with it. It's not that. It's, I'm not okay with it, I want to be here.
I like that distinction. Yeah, that's helpful.
Or I'm having a really hard time, what's going on? Can I just be here? There are all these sensations arising and it's overwhelming and the mind starts working. Can I just be here? Can I just be here? Okay?
Thank you, Neelam.
What do you say? Not like that, like this. A little bit. And you see, we have to go a little bit at a time because otherwise the nervous system, you know, it needs to learn. It learns in small increments, right? So slowly. Right? Okay? Where do you live, Steve? Where do you live? Where are you calling from?
San Francisco.
Really? Did we talk before on the phone or no? No.
We had one other time a few weeks ago.
Was it on the open circle call or?
It was on a call, not a video.
Okay. And did we speak actually? Did we?
We did. Yes, we dialogued.
I remember. Okay. So like this, okay? Slowly. Good, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Let's see if we have somebody else here. Is Rafi here? Shall we try? Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going over there?
It's going very good.
So did you want to speak about anything, Rafi, or what you say?
I'm good.
Let's just sit here for a moment. Let's just sit. So what do you say? Is that good for now, or did you want to say anything? Did you want to say anything, or?
No, no. I'm good. Thank you.
Good to see you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's go to Chilani for a moment. How is that volume now? We can't hear you. You're muted, sweetie. I think you are muted. Unmute yourself. Can we try?
You're unmuted now.
Now you're unmuted. Speak, Chilani.
Can you hear me now, Neelam?
Hi. Can't hear you so well, but we can hear you a little bit. Hi.
Sorry about hi. It's so nice to see you. So
So very
nice.
nice to see you also.
Thank you.
Yes. Where are you right now, Chilani? Where are you?
Australia.
Australia.
Adelaide.
It's amazing, the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like you're alive here.
Yes, yes, it's beautiful.
So beautiful, and all the questions goes away.
Yes, yes, of course, of course.
That's funny. I was planning to ask you this, but it's not here now and anymore, no.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask because during the daytime, it's like hell and heaven. It's like in one day I'm identified with the mind, and then everything is lost, and suddenly this presence, and I recognize, and I'm so happy, and it continues like on and off.
Right, right. I understand. I hope everybody heard that what she's saying, that it just goes on and off. One day she's identified with the mind, and another day everything is good, and she's really happy, and then it goes on and off like that, right?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. Let's
Yes,
just sit
and
here for a moment, Chulani. Let's just sit here for a moment. Let's see what's going on, okay? Because I think that's just normal, right? I think we spoke about it before, that it's just how it happens. It's just how it works, One day it's like this, and another day it's like that. Right? There's no problem with that. Do you have a problem with it, Chulani? Is that okay that it happens like that? Is it okay?
now it's okay.
It's what?
Now it's okay.
But no, but in your life normally every day, is it okay also?
I feel not okay.
Not okay, not okay. And that not okayness, when it happens, where do you notice it? How do you notice it, Chulani, that not okayness?
It's here.
It's here in your body, like a sensation in your body, yeah?
Not like a sensation. It's just like an image. It's like it's it's
But
like
we want to get
something.
more into the sensation of it. That's what we want, I understand it shows up as an image, but we want to get into it as a sensation, right?
Yes, it's in the body here.
In the body here, okay, okay. So then would it be okay to just notice that sensation, Chulani? Would it be okay?
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, because that's where the past is, it doesn't matter bliss or suffering, it matters where are you at in the moment, right? Where are you at? That's what matters, right? That's what would anchor your inquiry, because otherwise too much time we spend, oh, this is great or this is terrible, this is great, this is terrible. No, it doesn't matter. Where is it here right now? Is it okay? No. Where is the not okayness? Can I be here? Because that's where the past is. You see, the past that needs to be experienced, right? The reason why we don't rest fully in the present is because there's not enough trust, you see. Not enough trust yet. And the reason there's not enough trust is that there was something happened in the past, you see, where there was no trust. And that past has to be experienced. You don't have to know what it is, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to understand, but you just let yourself be present to it. Right? Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes, because that's what takes you out of this, bliss and suffering, right? Beautiful, beautiful. So what is it like right now, Chulani, sweetheart? What is it like to just be here like this for a moment? What is that like for you?
So peace. It's peace here.
Peace. It's beautiful. Yes,
I really, really very clearly recognize that this me not here.
yes, yes. Yes.
It's
Very
not
clearly
here.
recognize that word. Say it again.
The me, the feeling of me. Oh, it's not here.
Right, right, right. Because you're meeting it, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. The feeling of you is not here because you're willing to be here, right? Yes, yes. Of course, of course.
So happy.
Yes, yes. Of course, of course, of course. Natural. Yes, yes. So, yes, beautiful, beautiful. Mm. So like this, sweetheart, what do you say? What do you say? Would you be willing to do it like this?
Yes. Yes.
And really watch that, because you know it's so easy to get caught in this story, like, oh, everything is okay, and then nothing is okay, and it's so easy to make a story out of it, you know? You understand? No, no story, just, am I okay with what's here? Yes or no? Can I be here? Right? Beautiful, beautiful, because that brings you here, right? Good, good. Beautiful, Chulani. I'm so glad we had a chance to meet on like this. That's so nice.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for that. Yes. Good, good. Somebody else is here. Manuela. Yes, thank you, Chulani. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Hi.
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 Hi. Am I unmute or?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
You're not-
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say hi. And also, yeah, it's so good to see you.
It's been so long, huh? In visual, because it's not long, but
Yes.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
And I was also noticing how I've heard so many times your teaching, and each time, it feels like something else is hearing it in a deeper level.
Sure, sure.
So I wanted to share that.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. So let's just sit here for a moment. Yeah. Nice to see you. So is that your new home there in the background? New, I mean, it's not so new anymore to you, right?
Years now, yeah. Yeah, we can see part of it, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Maybe someday I will.
Yeah, come here.
I wish, yes, of course. One day. One day.
You will be for sure welcome.
Yes, yes, thank you. Good, good, sweetheart. Is that good, you think?
Yes.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So let me just speak for another moment with everybody here, because what really brings us here is the desire for freedom. What really brings us here is to want to know who we really are, and that desire for freedom. Initially it manifests. It takes us at first into the direct experience of presence. Then eventually it takes us into what we call awakening. Some of you are still in this, back and forth between knowing our true nature and then not knowing our true nature, and then eventually that more permanent shift happens from that, sense of individual identity. We shift into knowing that everything is present. And the desire for freedom continues, until it brings us to really rest in the midst of everything. In the midst of everything. And that resting, there's a difference, because, we can recognize presence in a split of a second, right? Here we are, we all, even right now in this moment, you can just bring your attention here, and here it is, right? It's right here. There's no question, no problem with that. Right? However, to come to really live from that recognition, to really, to find that stillness in the midst of all circumstances, that requires our ability to identify and be present to the patterns of the past. And so you have seen how we have been sitting together here today, and every time we sit, what is it about? It's about, can I be present to what is? Right? Can I really meet that? Because it's in this meeting that there's the end of suffering. Right? It's in this meeting. And also, as you see, we just touched on it very briefly. It's a short, kind of open satsang. We touched very briefly that there's certain skills we need also. Like understanding about the nervous system and the brain and how it works, and the sense of direction of how do I do this thing, like when I say just be here, how do you do that, right? How to learn about the capacity of the nervous system, to learn how does it work, how can we really actually do this, so that we can be present to what arises. Because eventually, the purpose of this life and the goal of this life is freedom, and freedom means not necessarily the end of all arising, but it means, can I be here at rest at any given moment? Can I really find the truth, the truth of who I am, the truth that in so many different ways at so many different times? Can that be, present and part of your experience wherever you are, however you are? Right? Can that be here? Can we, can the life be lived from that, right? Not from what arises from the past. And so, many of you have done some kind of shorter or longer programs with me, and that we spend time really taking time for that, really taking time for the direct recognition of presence, as well as for understanding how can we be here with what is. How can we learn that? Because ultimately, that's what we want. And we just had like a 5-week program not long ago, and I just loved, one of the students that came into the program. We had like a brief questionnaire before, and everybody answered some questions, and she said something about how she's aware of the past, and how she's present to what it is. And then we had our first class or a couple of meetings in the program, and then she said, oh no, scrap all that, that's not true. I don't know how to be present, really. I'm just right now discovering how to be present. Right? Because there is a difference between, we might even notice the past, right? There's a difference between our awareness of it and our ability to actually be here in it in a moment, right? And as you were seeing today also, when we are sitting together, it's so much about, can I be here in it, with it, in this moment, right? Not just be aware of it. Sometimes even that awareness is missing, right? Sometimes even that is missing. But most of the time what's missing is that skill, of how can I do that? How can I actually be here? So I wonder, is there anybody else, anything else? Anybody else that wanted to speak? Anything else, Amy, in the questions or comments or anything?
Neelam, there are not any, but I'll invite people.
Say it again.
There are not any questions in the comment thread, but I'll invite people to.
Okay. So let's just see, is there anything else? I'm just asking that question right now. Are there any other questions. Did anybody else want to speak? Did you have, Amy, anything? Did we need to do any announcements or say anything before we end?
We do, Neelam. Just a moment, please, and I'll pull those up.
Take your
See
time.
if, yes.
You can say some things about it too. So. I just wish it would be easy to actually see everybody. But it's not how it is. It's not how it's made, this technology.
Yes, it would be nice. Let's see if anybody wants to say hello, just to comment on the comment thread here. Let's see if there's anything. I don't see anything else because there are people watching that we haven't seen yet, of course.
Of course. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody for so long that it's nice. It's just nice to see people.
Yes. I'm getting the announcements ready here.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Thank you for joining us today for this first time. Neelam does have some events coming up this month and beyond here. Next Sunday, September 27th, there's an open circle call. And all of these events are listed at neelam.org/events, so you can find more information. There's also Awakening and the Power of Presence to bring freedom to all areas of our life. And there are 2 longer programs beginning in October. And we have question and answer calls, free calls on Sunday, October 11th. So you can come and ask your questions about those programs if you'd like. And we just invite you to go to neelam.org to find out more about those events.
Yes, thank you for that. And let me just say about the longer programs, we always have a longer program for newer students that have not done a 6-month program yet. And then we have the program for returning students, which, you know, we kind of, in the returning student program, we also separate the groups into 2 groups. And that's how we work, you know, depending on what your needs are. And I wanted to say about the longer program that, you know, the reason I teach like that is because that's the most effective, I find. If we are really looking for a change or to learn some skills or for a certain transformation to happen, that's the most effective use of my energy, really, with everybody. And for you, when you make that commitment, you know, to a program, you're really making a commitment to your own being present with what is, right? So that's really the invitation, you know, when we are in a program, of course, to deepen that ability to be here, first of all, to know your true nature, you know, to break that habit of it's not here, right? To break that habit, and to also learn how to be with what is, how to be here. What, you know, how does that work? How can I do that? So good. So anybody else? I see Jonathan again. Did you want to say something, Jonathan, or no? Or this was just
No, just saying hi.
How are you? How is it going then, by the way? I didn't. How are
Good.
you? Yeah?
Yeah, really good. Making some changes, and yeah, everything's good.
Yeah, you have a beard I haven't seen before. I think the last time I saw you, no?
No, I had it last time,
Ah. Well, that's okay.
but maybe it's a little more trimmed now. I don't know.
A little different. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Good, good, everybody. Let's just sit here for a moment, quietly together. Oh, very nice to have everybody here. I see Grace there too. Hello.
Hi, Neelam.
How are you?
Very well. I really enjoyed your satsang.
Thank you. And learning, you see what you do so well. We're just learning. So
Yes, well, it's going very well.
good, good, beautiful, beautiful. Good, good, everybody. It's so nice to see you. I hope we can do this again sometime and come and join us on our other calls. Thank you, and thank you, Amy, for doing this. Thank you.